Welcome to Bloodbath and Beyond. Today we review SiREN. No man can resist her, all men should.
Directed by Gregg Bishop, starring Chase Williamson, Fierman, and Justin Welborn. Based on the short film Amateur Night from the popular anthology franchise VHS, this movie's about a group of 4 friends that are getting together for a bachelor party. They go to a very whack-ass strip club.
She's wearing flip-flops.
Well, there, they find a very seedy man that they shouldn't trust, and they follow him back to an underground club, which is very odd, and houses Lily, who is kind of a fair folk SiREN who can make people hallucinate and see different visions when she sings. Her everyday life consists of seducing and killing people. Jonah, the groom-to-be, sets her free, and now she's got her eye on the prize, which is Jonah, but her keeper, Mr. Nix, wants her back. This is actually a recommendation from Deke, our top donator, over on Patreon. And this is the first fantasy horror film that I think we may have reviewed. Keeping it interesting. Thank you, Deke. We appreciate the support. Let's get into our likes.
I liked the idea of the SiREN. The SiREN is a folklore that many people are familiar with, more towards as being out in the ocean where they sing and men's ships crash to their fate by being seduced by her voice. In this case, I like the idea that the SiREN is in a modern setting, in like a strip club or like a burlesque house, and you feel bad for her, but then at the same time, you fear her. So there's a wide range of emotions which you don't know if you want her to get away or if you want her stopped. So it's kind of fun when you're watching this go from start to finish.
And I liked her and her presence. She was like creepy. She's like a small, seemingly innocent person, but she is creepy as all hell and goes wild. And I think the actress who played her did an excellent job. And I think I would be in a sticky situation if she tried to seduce me. That sounded disgusting. Sorry.
I actually thought Mr. Nix was kind of cool. He had this like awesome look to him. Like he's one of the first characters you're introduced to, and he's just really knowledgeable but badass at the same time. And then as the movie progresses, he becomes our antagonist, and again, it's one of those mixed emotions. Like, is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? We don't necessarily approve with what they're doing, but at the same time, he's not killing anyone.
I want the fondest memory of your mother from each of you.
And the most beautiful part about it is you won't even miss it. You can't miss a memory you can't even remember, now can you?
Which is actually one of like the bigger reasons why I enjoyed this movie as well, because I think the world was built in such a way that is just really cool, and it would make for a great series. They set up so many different characters, and even like the whole operation of this burlesque house is really cool. We don't want to get too much into it, but the fact that they can like take memories and give memories is really neat. I also enjoyed most of our main characters. They just seemed like a group of regular people that just were going to a bachelor party. Well, I wasn't a huge fan of like the groom per se. Mac was excellent. I thought he was super fun. I want to hang out with him. He's a yes man. He just says go with the flow. Stop saying no. Just say yes.
We don't say maybe. We don't say gee, I don't know. I've never. And we damn sure don't say no. We say yes to living. And yes to living it up. Do you feel me?
Yes!
Elliot, unfortunately, shouldn't have done mushrooms. He pukes all over the place, and maybe he had a bad experience, especially if you've seen the movie all the way through.
This movie did have some gore to it. We did have the SiREN, Lily, killing people, mainly like biting their necks and like ripping off their faces, but I actually liked her makeup when like her forehead would split and she had that big grin. It looked cool, and I thought they did a good job with her makeup design.
Yeah, she was creepy. She got like super big eyes as well. Still not turned off. I also like the cinematography. It's kind of weird, and that's why I enjoyed it. At first it doesn't seem like this is kind of like a fantasy movie. You're just like, okay, there's gonna be some kind of demon or something, and you're not too sure what you're getting into. And as you go through the movie, the cinematography definitely changes, and they start using very interesting shot choices. It kind of starts when there's like a awkward slow motion scene, and then the camera kind of like turns upside down and you're like, what the hell is going on? And then you start seeing like just shadows on the wall, like very long, devious shadows. And there's just like a lot of really cool shot choices, and I thought it was great. Now, what didn't we like? One of the glaring issues is on the production side, which are the visual effects. The visual effects, there are some, and they look kind of cheesy and hokey. Especially, there's like a girl that kind of has Medusa head, and like the Medusa things aren't tracking properly on her head. Our siren has wings and she looks like an idiot flying around. And the tail itself just kind of looks awkward. Looking into the movie a little bit more, unfortunately, the VFX crew did the effects, and like the producers and the director like didn't have final say on it. Even if they had an issue, they had to get the film out. So they're just like, okay, well, that's what we have to go with. So I think if they were given more time and a little bit better budget, they could have had way better visual effects. It is probably the larger letdown of the film.
Without spoiling anything, I think the biggest issue I have is the ending of the movie. I wasn't a real big fan with how it ended. I understand why it ended that way, but I just didn't like it. And I don't think a lot of people are gonna like it.
But they kind of tacked on like an extra scene, which didn't need to happen.
I also think it would have been cooler to explain Mr. Nix's character way more. We are introduced to someone who is super cool. There's a lot of questions as to why he knows what he knows, and you don't understand who he really is. And I think that character alone was one of the more interesting characters in this film, and they didn't fully explore it. They just made him seem like a bad guy.
Right, like there's obviously some history here. How did he meet the woman with the leeches? How does he know anything about the siren? Is the siren the only thing in this establishment that is like playing with people? Or are there other creatures there that like provide some other outlet for other fantasies? There's a lot here that could be explained and explored a little bit more. And like I said, I think that there should be at least a sequel, if not like just a continuation of this world. It would be great.
If I'm being honest, the acting wasn't the best. Some of the people did a really good job delivering their lines and showcasing emotions, and other people not so much. So you really have that defined line of people who could act versus people who can't act. So when they're in the same scene together, it really is noticeable, and you just kind of lose all believability that's going on.
Now it's time for our final thoughts and ratings. I had a good time with this movie. There's a lot of movies with this name, and so I wasn't sure which one we were getting into. I thought it was gonna be the one with the girls on the beach, but hey, this was still fun. I really enjoyed just like the story and the setting. I like the fact that this whole establishment is kind of built around these really strange characters, from the bartender to the owner to the people doing the burlesque shows. They all could have their own different kind of spin-off stories, and you could just grow this universe. And this kind of feels like a sample of it, but I'm happy with what we were given. I enjoyed our characters, and I really liked the siren, but she could have been improved with better visual effects. But at the end of the day, I really enjoyed this movie, and it's just something a little bit different than we're used to. So I'm gonna give this 3.5, bringing a really small knife to a larger knife fight out of 5.
This film had a very interesting concept where we take the siren, a fantasy figure, and put him in a setting like from dusk till dawn. We had some interesting characters, and the siren herself, Lily, looked downright cool, aside from a few visual effects. When you're looking at her face and the makeup, it's very well done, and it is actually very creepy. There's just a few things that weren't necessary, and I wasn't really a big fan of the ending. It just kind of let me down, and when I was done watching it, I was left disappointed. But that doesn't take away from the fact that it's still a good movie. So with that being said, I'm gonna give this film 3 baby bottle openers out of 5.
No, you never know when you need to open a tiny bottle of beer.
Stop. You know what? We love them.
As always, thank you for watching. Like this video and comment below with your thoughts on the film if you've seen it. If you haven't and you do want to check it out, there are links in the description where you can find it. And if you want the opportunity to recommend a movie for us to review, check out the Patreon, first link in the description. And if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe to the channel to stay updated with everything Bloodbath and beyond.